hello in the private sector.
Grr, and I'm Obamacare!
Now, I know you had a tough first year, so I got you something for your anniversary. Obamacare! What are you doing?
I'm crushing Democrat campaigns!
Doing what?
I increased premiums, I canceled plans, and now Democrats all over the country are running away from me!
You know you're ruining their chances of keeping the Senate.
If you want your Senate, you can keep your Senate! Rawr!
The Affordable Health Care Act is 1 year old, and if you listen to the supporters, going strong in making America healthier and much more of a secure nation. On the other side of the coin, how fast can we dump this mess and put something in place that will really allow you to choose your own doctor? Welcome back to Midpoint. The former Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York and one who tirelessly speaks out on public policy affecting health care issues, Betsy McCaughey, and the Director of Health Policy and a senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum, Hadley Heath Manning. Ladies, pleasure to see you both again.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Hadley, I'm going to start with you this time. I hold in my hot little hands right now 2 articles, one from the New York Times that says the incompetence dogma. So much for Obamacare not working, says it's working just fine. My other hand, the Wall Street Journal, the myth of Obamacare's affordability not working at all. Where's the fact, Hadley?
Well, the fact is the law creates some winners, but mostly losers. Many more losers under Obamacare than there are winners. Today is October 1st. On October 1st, 2013, exactly 1 year ago, a whopping 6 people enrolled, and that was the kickoff for 2014 coverage. Now, this year, coverage enrollment won't start until after the midterm election, which I think right there is an admission from the White House, at least, that the new rates for 2015, the plans that will be available to people, won't be likable to the American public. And 6 in 10 people, according to polling from the Independent Women's Voice, report that their personal experience with Obamacare has been negative. So that's the only number that really matters when it comes to polling. People are suffering and saying that this law is impacting their lives in a negative way.
Betsy, is that what we're missing here? When we come down to rates and plans, everything's good when you come up to this date right now and you look backward, but if you start looking forward, that's the devil in the details?
Well, the fact is already Obamacare is hurting about twice as many people as it helps. It's good for people who lacked insurance, who couldn't afford it, and now have coverage, although many of them are having trouble actually getting to see a doctor. But many more people are losing their coverage. Last year, you heard about the people who had plans they purchased themselves that were considered no longer suitable, no longer meeting the law's requirements, and so they had to go to the Obamacare exchange and sign up for a new plan that cost them more, and they couldn't keep their doctor. Often they couldn't even use the hospital they preferred and used in the past. We're hearing about seriously ill people who no longer have access to cancer centers. Even if they're in midstream, halfway through their chemotherapy, they have to change doctors and change hospitals. But what's coming up is even worse, because so many people who have on-the-job coverage, who get their coverage through their employer, as most Americans do, are now going to be dumped by their employers because their current plan is going to expire and their employer won't be able to renew it and will be stuck between having to buy the much more unaffordable, much costlier Obamacare plan or sending employees and their families off to the exchanges. So we already see that about twice as many people are hurting as being helped by Obamacare, and that ratio is going to worsen.
Okay, I want to hit that right there when you talk about the nation's employers. 1/6 of the nation's employees, or about 25 million people in a full-time position, makes them ineligible for the law's new and generous assistance with health insurance premiums and cost-sharing, ineligible for subsidies simply because they're working full-time and thereby ineligible. That is from the Wall Street Journal. Hadley, with all this sitting here, I've got it, and again, I've got to go right back to the piece of paper in my hand. These are supposed facts. Yet why then is there one side who says that it's working? How do they get away with it then? There's got to be something behind this.
Well, there's different kinds of lies. I think Mark Twain said there are lies, darned lies, and then there are statistics, right? So you can make the statistics look favorable to Obamacare. If you focus on, the sheer number of people who have enrolled in coverage and you ignore the number of people who had their plans canceled, you can make the law look good by pointing out that some people will have a reduction in their premium if you ignore the fact that many people will have an increase in their premium. And beyond that, some of the other important facts, and Betsy mentioned this, the narrow and ultra-narrow networks available to people in the Obamacare plans in the individual market. McKinsey & Company found 70% of the plans offered in the Obamacare exchanges have narrow or ultra-narrow doctor networks. Now, what this means in English is that if you are looking for a doctor in one of these plans, you have fewer choices, and if the patient-to-doctor ratio is off in any of these plans, you might face a longer wait time for getting an appointment with your doctor. Now, when we talk about the employer market or large group plans, many of these plans haven't really had to face some of the mandates in Obamacare yet. Some of them have, and this gets complicated with the grandfathering and the way that there's turnover in those markets as well. But the White House has unilaterally delayed employer mandates for mid-size and large businesses until 2015, 2016 in the case of medium-sized businesses.
Okay.
So the fact that the implementation deadline of this law has been changed so many times indicates that the White House and their supporters are really struggling to implement.
All right, I only got 90 seconds left here. I'm going to get in from both of you here on this answer then. I'll go to you first, Betsy. Where's the replacement plan? That's what people keep asking. Where's the next step?
Well, in fact, there are several very good versions of the replacement plan already poised for passage in Congress. Republicans have been, and some Democrats, have been working very hard to ensure that when this law is repealed, the replacement will be ready, and those who gained coverage under Obamacare will not lose it. Kids who suddenly were able to be covered under their parents' plans, they'll get that again. So this is going to be a win-win, not just for the people who were hurt by Obamacare, but even for those who benefited by Obamacare.
All right, Hadley, I'll come to you next then. We get to the point, the midterms are here, Republicans win, repeal is here, but are you really confident that within a month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever, that there will be a new plan in action and people will be able to take advantage of it?
So much of this, Ed, has to do with leadership because, as Betsy mentioned, there are numerous. I mean, there have been dozens of plans introduced by conservative and Republican thinkers about, allowing market forces to re-enter the health sector, allowing people to take their healthcare dollars and go into a robust, competitive marketplace where insurance companies compete for our business and have to give us better quality at lower prices. So politically, yes, it will be very difficult. And I think Republicans really have to look towards even 2016 because you look at the Affordable Care Act, there was a lot of dissent among Democrats, but it came to be known as Obamacare because it had that one executive leader to sign it.
It is going to take a lot of time. Betsy, Hadley, thank you so much for joining us, ladies. 1 year and counting. We'll be back again on this. Thanks so much. All right, later on this hour, one who speaks from experience about covering up debilitating brain injuries.
Health officials in Dallas are trying to locate anyone who came in contact with the patient diagnosed with Ebola yesterday. Several reports now say the patient was initially sent home with antibiotics 2 days before being admitted to an isolation unit. Omar Gonzalez, the man accused of jumping the White House fence and making his way into the presidential mansion, is expected to be in court later on this afternoon. Gonzalez could be facing more than a decade behind bars. And new reports today of another embarrassing Secret Service breach. An armed security contractor with a criminal record rode in an elevator with the president earlier this month. And finally, bad news for New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. The latest poll says only 46% of respondents approve of the governor's job performance. I'm Olga Villaverde. We'll have another update for you at the top of the hour. We'll see you then.